Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and I've been looking forward to this broadcast for a long time. I've known this guy probably 20 years, but we just got close with our relationship the last 10. You talk about somebody that you can look at and say, this guy is the real deal. I'm talking about my friend, Max Zanan. Hey, Max, how you doing, big guy?
Jim, thank you so much for doing this, for having me on this broadcast. I sincerely appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate things you do for the auto industry and the time and effort you donate. Tell us about Max. How did you get into the car business? Now, tell me the whole story.
So here's the true story, Jim. I came to America from Soviet Union when I was 16, and I went to high school. And it was 1993 when I went to
Okay, so you snuck out of communist Russia.
I did. And at that time, Tom Cruise had a movie called The Firm.
I know the movie quite well. Yeah.
Okay, so I was blown away, right? And I decided I need to be an attorney, right? That was the goal, right? And luckily, planets aligned in a way that I couldn't be an attorney because I dropped out of law school because it was extremely boring, right? It was probably one of the best things I've ever done, right? And eventually, I was unemployed.
Okay.
And as you know, right, because some things are true.
Did you speak English?
I did. But the point is that after I finished college, I was unemployed, and as it is true now, it was true back then. If you had a pulse and you could fug up a mirror, you would get a job selling cars.
Oh, anybody with a pulse could get a job selling cars. Come on. I mean, they were hiring anybody that breathed.
Correct. So I'm the living proof. And I had zero experience. I've never sold anything in my life. And, I kind of fell in love with it. It gives you this adrenaline rush every time you deliver a car.
Oh, it does. It does.
It does if you love it, right? I'm sure people that don't like it, right, they don't get that rush, right? But even now, when I'm in a dealership, this is 20 years later, and I see people delivering cars, I get excited.
Of course.
So in a way, car business is a meritocracy, and you can move up the ladder, right, and become a sales manager or a finance manager or a general manager based on your abilities, right? But you are as good as your last deal, or you are as good as your last month, right, in order for you to keep that job. So there's constant performance that's required of you. And it's enormous pressure, and some people are wired to handle it and some people are not. And I absolutely loved it. And eventually I ended my automotive retail career running multiple stores.
Where was this?
In New York. In New York.
Was this like in the city or?
So one store was in Long Island and the other two were in Brooklyn.
Okay, very good. Yeah, okay.
And as you know, New York market is extremely competitive. And one of the highlights is that in 2005, when I ran a Mitsubishi store in Long Island, it became a #1 Mitsubishi store in the country, which is in a way unheard of for any New York dealer to be #1 in the country because we have real estate constraints, right? We're not Texas, we're not California, we're not Florida. But we were able to pull this off and not only be the #1 dealer in the country volume-wise, we were also the most profitable as well.
So Mitsubishi pretty much got a reputation as a second chance finance car.
Right, especially now. But if you turn back the clock, 99, 2000, 2005, they actually had a full lineup of cars.
I know.
Remember, they had Eclipse, GT3000, Montero Sport, the big Montero truck, Lancer, Galant, Diamante.
Yeah.
These were big names. Now they have 2 cars. It's a shame what happened to the company in terms of marketing. And then I left car business because 2008 happened, right? The financial crisis was really devastating.
That's about the time I met you.
Yeah. And I transitioned into FNI products and FNI training, and then into compliance, and then eventually, because car business, everything I have in my life, I owe to car business. So because I like it and I love this business so much, I wrote my first book.
Let me back up a second. Right now, folks, Max is broadcasting from his third house in Spain. You're in Spain right now, correct?
Yes, sir. I am.
You got a house in New York City and a house in Pennsylvania.
I do.
So you got 3 residences, and you made a statement. Everything you have is a result of the car business.
It's the truth.
Max, you have knocked the cover off the ball financially. I have watched you grow. I've watched you cash in on your knowledge. It's amazing. So what happened now? Now you're in the F&I business. You're brokering products. What are you doing?
Well, I am an F&I business. I am in compliance business, and I managed to write 4 books, right? And I'll be the first person to tell you, right? You don't write these books to get rich.
No, you don't.
There is no money in it. And if anybody thinks that you can retire from writing a book, you gotta be, you gotta stop kidding yourself. Right?
I'm in the Speakers Association. I can attest to that.
Right. So I did it not for the money, but I did it because I truly care about the business. And I see some flaws with it. And I want to play my part and maybe point them out a little bit. And maybe some progressive dealers will pick up the book, read it, and say, hey, maybe this guy makes a good point. Let me try it this way. It doesn't cost anything to try. So that's how I came about, writing these books. But right now, bulk of my time is spent in the F&I department, whether it's product training or reinsurance or profit sharing setups. And at the same time, I also do compliance training, mostly online for all departments of a car dealership. Because I think compliance is important, since unfortunately, consumers don't have a very good opinion of car dealers.
And the vendors don't they never help us with our reputation. I mean,
Never.
A lot of our bad reputation comes directly from the vendors we pay, which just absolutely is incredible to me. So compliance. Now, I consider myself a pretty strong expert on compliance in the car business. I've spoken at 2 national conventions on that subject. I'm a non-attorney, but I'm an expert in compliance because I'm a student of the industry, and I'm sure that's how you came about this.
Exactly. I'm a non-attorney, but I do have certain certifications like AFIP. Again, I think the problems we have that are associated with lack of compliance are due to the simple fact that there is no licensing requirement, unfortunately, to be in car business, right? For example, right, if you want to be a barber, there's a 2-year course and a test in the state of New York to be a barber.
To be a barber.
Correct. But if you want to be an F&I, right?
Yeah, you want to invest $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of these people's money. You want to advise them financially. You could be homeless one day on the exit ramp with a cardboard sign. The next day, you are a finance manager.
Right. They're going to say, "Hey, Jim, that's your office. Go get him, Tiger."
I agree with you. Most finance managers have no qualifications. We have available to us more skills, more schools, more specialized training than anybody. but most F&I managers, the majority, have never been to a school.
Exactly. And they are taught by another finance manager in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's how bad habits transcend generations. Right? Because the guy who was never taught is now teaching somebody else.
I see that. I've been in 1,000 stores, Max. I mean, you and I are talking to the choir here. I've been in 1,000 showrooms in 49 states. I have witnessed. I have worked deals in all of those states except Alaska, and you and I are speaking from what I call experiential observation.
Exactly.
Experiential observation, things we have seen, not things we read or heard about or technologically assumed. No.
Yeah, that's what you see when you actually go to the store, and you can tell right away. So that's why I think compliance is an issue, right? It's not intentional. It's just this lack of licensing is really really wild if you think about it. Like, look at the medical profession, right? There is licensing requirement, and it makes it harder for people to enter, right? This is an entry barrier, right? Because not that many people are willing to invest 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, 2 years of residency, and then take the board exams, right? So I'm not saying it should be as difficult, but let's be honest. A lot of people in car business make more money than doctors.
Oh, I talk about that all the time. Yeah. Every time I turn around, I've seen that we make more money than any number of professionals. And I'm talking about people like myself with a high school education, poor parents. I'm self-educated. So how are you self-educated? That's the question.
Exactly. So I am a big fan of licensing requirements, because I think eventually it will happen, and it will happen to the benefit of the industry, and it will happen to the benefit of the consumers.
I'm looking at the titles of your books. Perfect Dealership, Surviving the Digital Disruption. Surviving Digital Disruption, The Perfect Dealership. Then your next book, one of my favorites, Car Business 101, Crazy Shit That Car Dealers Do.
So think of these two books, they're the flip sides of each other. Mm-hmm. So Perfect Dealership was the first book I wrote, and I really wanted to lay out the way I see it, the way it should operate, right? Mm-hmm. And the second book, Car Business 101, is what you said. It's based on actual observations, right? What I actually see in car
crazy shit that car dealers do. I love the subtitle.
It really is crazy, Jim. I mean, listen, there's no exaggeration here. Sometimes it's just mind-boggling, things that they do. And again, I hope that some progressive dealers will pick up the book and maybe say, you know what, this guy makes a good point.
Yeah,
we should really stop doing this.
I wonder, are you getting any pushback from people?
No, because
Max, you're exposing the car business. You're hurting us. Are you hearing any of that?
No, because the books are not intended for a general public. There are no secrets of negotiation or pricing. These books are specifically written for people that are in the industry.
Okay.
So they're written for GMs, dealer principals, sales managers, salespeople, service managers, service advisors. That's the intended audience. Never, ever have I thought about writing a book that is consumer facing.
I'm looking right now at all 4 books, and I'm on the Amazon site. You can buy the books in a bundle. You can buy the books individually. All I Googled up was Amazon.com, Max Zanan books. I mean, pretty easy to find what you've written.
Right, and if you use Kindle, right, the electronic reader, I mean, these books are $5.99. You know, they will not put a dent in your bank account. I promise you that.
Oh, less than a Starbucks, you know.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. But you'd be surprised how many people will choose Starbucks.
Oh no, I wouldn't. No, not at all. The millennials are definitely going to get to the Starbucks before it's a priority purchase.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
So
That's
anyway, we wrote the 3 books: The Art and Science of Running a Car Dealership, and the last book, Effective Car Dealer. Now, I come from a general manager, dealer, principal mindset. I never have been a general manager. I never have been a dealer. Highest I ever achieved was general sales manager in multiple stores. So I look at this book and I've got that mindset that I am a top management individual. And these books are written from a top management viewpoint. If you're a dealer or general manager, you need to buy the Max Zanan books. I don't get anything for saying that. You and I don't have a financial arrangement on your books. Matter of fact, there's not enough money in your books for me to fool with. Yeah, I usually shoot for bigger game, but
Exactly. There's no meat in it.
So anyway, we're talking about to Max Zanan. This guy's a futurist. He's a compliance expert. He's an FNI expert. I mean, he's got a number of expertises that are well documented. I mean, there's so many frauds and fakes and failures out there trying to teach us how to do the car business. Let me tell you, this guy's the real deal. I've been involved with him for about 15 years. I don't know. Some years just don't mean anything to me anymore. I lose track of time. So anyway, here we have this Russian sneaking out under the fence. I can picture you with your face all greased up, crawling under the fence, getting out of the Soviet Union.
That's right.
Going through the minefields, and okay. So okay, Kimberly. Good morning, Kimberly. But anyway, you sneaked out of the Soviet Union. You want to be an attorney. You get to New York. You did speak English, and you can't be an attorney.
It's just not for me. It was so boring, Jim. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you probably watched Tom Cruise and Perry Mason and all the glamorous
things.
things.
This is it. It's super exciting, and then you get to law school and you want to pull your hair out.
Yeah. So anyway, law school blew you out of that profession, but now you're selling cars and you're doing fairly well. And for 1976, I was a radio executive, and I was making pretty good money. Had a very prestigious job. I get divorced. I'm going to drop out and sell cars for a while. I'm just going to do this for a short while. So I go start selling cars. In a third month in the business, I made $4,500.
That's huge.
1976.
Right.
I had never made $4,500 as a top executive in a major radio station, one of the biggest in the country. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at this and say, wait a second. I was just going to do this so I could get a good job. And excuse me, this is a good job.
This is a great job.
It's a great job. So that's when I started studying my profession. And so many people today don't do that. So anyway, you're doing FNI reinsurance, you're doing FNI products. So you're doing compliance. So if I call Max Zanan and say, Max, I got problems in the dealership, I want you to give me a complete analysis of my compliance exposure. Now, what do you say?
So the easiest way to do it is to actually come to the dealership and conduct an on-site audit, right? Because most likely, if you are calling me, you probably happen to be a dealer principal, right? And there are two types of phone calls that I get, right? There's a phone call that I get when the building is on fire, right? And they're like, we just want to buy fire insurance. right? Can you sell us fire insurance?
Yeah.
You know, and then there's another type of phone call, which is a minority, by the way, not majority, when people want to be proactive and they say, hey, we know that our compliance is not perfect. You know, maybe you can help us, you know, get it to a point where it becomes part of our organizational culture. So I do an on-site audit. I do online training for all employees because listen, it makes no sense, right, for me to train FNI department on compliance and completely ignore everybody else, right? Because FNI doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It's all interconnected. No. So you have to get everybody on the same page. That's how you instill the culture of compliance throughout the organization. And I also give them a report, you know, which is based on the findings of the audit with a roadmap of what they need to do, right? And then two things happen, right? Again, there are two types of dealers. One type of a dealer will take the report and they're going to use it as a paperweight and never read it. And then there's another type of dealer who will actually read it and start implementing things. Because at the end of the day, I don't have the authority to implement things in a dealership because I'm not an employer of a dealership and nobody's going to listen to me, right? It has to come from the very top.
That's you and I have a little difference in the way we work with stores. I don't work with the dealership unless I have authority. I mean, I have the authority to make changes. There's dealerships that I actually have the authority to requisition a check.
Fine, but you see, at some point you leave, right?
Yeah.
And that's when, you know, you realize that this authority was in effect while you were there. But it's kind of suspended, right? The second they see the taillights and Jim is out, right? They're like, forget this guy, right? Let's go back.
They know my plane schedule. They can tell me departure time on my outgoing flight.
Right. Like, why are you here? Right? Shouldn't you be in a car?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the best approach, just to see it with my own eyes, right? And again, this all is based on experience, right? Because you see, compliance is very similar to, let's say, if you talk about hackers, right? You know, anybody in network security will tell you that the safest computer is the one that's unplugged, right? So any compliance attorney will tell you that the most compliant dealership is the one that's closed, right? But we cannot do that in the real world, right? We have to operate and sell cars, sell parts, and sell labor, right? Primarily, a dealership is a sales organization. It's not a compliance organization. So we need to find a way, you know, not to interfere with day-to-day operations, just, you know, like a chiropractor, I have to come in and make minor tweaks, minor adjustments, you know, so instead of, walking the gray line, they're on the right side. That's all it is. And it's not complicated, you know, as long as there's a will of the senior management to implement it, it gets done. If there is no will, then it doesn't matter what I do. I can stand on my head, right? And nothing is going to change.
Well, what about reinsurance? Why is reinsurance so important? I know the answer to the question, but still in all.
Well, first, you know, I think we should preface this with just positioning of the FNI department, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point, right, when the pendulum swings and we go back to normal, when there are more cars than buyers, right? And when you cannot get away with saying, well, this Kia is only $15,000 over sticker, right? When we actually have to go back, we are not that good at holding gross in the sales department.
No, we're not.
We're not, right? And unfortunately, I heard this statistic at the NADA. 97% of dealer principals, partners, and GMs came up through sales, not through service. Mm-hmm. So they're lacking understanding of fixed ops. So at the end of the day,
that's why I never became a general manager. That's why I never became a dealer, because I didn't have a feeling and I didn't understand fixed ops. and I had no interest in it. I came up through sales.
Yeah. And
I'm a variable operations expert.
So that's unfortunately majority of people out there.
Right.
So if we're not good at holding gross and we really don't understand what goes on in parts and service or in the collision shop, right? What we all understand is that without F&I, we're dead on arrival. Right? So F&I, whether you're going to reinsure or not, has to be the focal point, right, of generating gross profit. And I think I heard this from you, Jim, that F&I is the most profitable department per square foot.
Oh, I've said that many times.
Right. So think of it this way. I think smart dealers use F&I for three purposes. First purpose, you can actually tie it to the sales department, right? And what I mean here is that if we talk about Carvana, right, we all know what their value proposition is. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, right? The value proposition is easily defined. There is no haggling, there's home delivery, and you can return the car, no questions asked, right? That's their value proposition. Unfortunately, most car dealers do not have a well-defined value proposition. So smart dealers, what they do, they take F&I and make it part of the value proposition. For example, right, you can say that every car at XYZ Chevrolet comes with prepaid maintenance, or every car comes with lifetime engine guarantee, or every car comes with powertrain. Right? So you give it away. There's no charge. You incorporate it into the sale price of the car. But then your finance managers have an opportunity to upsell to a longer term or greater coverage. But this way you connect sales and F&I. Then you have to connect F&I to service. And the way you do it, especially if you choose to reinsure, when you sell vehicle service contracts, you have a mileage tieback. For example, a 50-mile tieback. That means if the car breaks down, you want the customer to come back to your service department to do the work. So now you're keeping your technicians busy. And I think F&I is that glue that keeps everything together. So these are the 2 points, right? And the final point when it comes to F&I is the actual reinsurance, right? It's the actual wealth building that allows dealer to participate in underwriting profits and to participate in investment profits that are currently taxed at a lower bracket than ordinary income. So to me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, so a lot of people don't get what reinsurance is. Of course, reinsurance to me is simplistically describing it. It's white labeling a product where the dealer is the backer of the product, the service contractor. I guess is GAP reinsured?
It could be, but I don't think it's a good idea, especially in this environment.
No, not in this environment.
You're going to lose your shirt.
Okay. But with service contracts, there's a number of people that never ever make a claim.
Correct.
And they forfeit.
Well, that's how the actual third-party administrator makes money, right? They get
forfeiture.
Right. They keep the underwriting profit, right? Underwriting profit means dollars paid out for claims, right? Subtracted from the premium dollars. Whatever is left over is the underwriting profit. And if you choose to reinsure, this underwriting profit is yours. If you choose not to reinsure, this underwriting profit is not yours. I think that's the most simplistic way to describe it. You know, and unfortunately, you would think that everybody would be doing it, right? But unfortunately, a lot of dealers are not reinsured at all.
They're using the manufacturer program, or so the manufacturer program, the manufacturer keeps all of the forfeiture. If people don't cancel the contract and they don't use the contract, there's a huge profit there, and the manufacturer keeps that profit.
Well, some of them do profit sharing with dealers, but that profit sharing comes into the dealership as ordinary income, and that's not good, right? Compared to doing reinsurance the proper way. So, my advice to most dealers is to do it, because not only that it gives you more control, it allows you to override the third-party administrator and actually pay the claim.
Okay.
Because sometimes this might not be covered by the plan, right? Whatever that is. But Jim happens to be a really good customer of our dealership. He bought 7 cars from us.
Oh, yeah.
So why wouldn't I, as a dealer principal, override the third-party administrator on this particular claim and say, I don't care what it says in the contract, we have to take care of Jim. So that's a tremendous advantage that you have, right? Because you get notified about every claim. So that's a very, very important point. Another good point is that you can actually white label these products, right? Look at AutoNation. That's what AutoNation did, right? AutoNation sells AutoNation branded VSC and all other ancillary products. So when a customer gets a VSC from AutoNation, they automatically think that this vehicle service contract is only going to be good at
an
AutoNation.
AutoNation repair facility.
Correct, which helps you with service retention.
They come back to you. As a matter of fact, I have seen service contracts are required. They come back to the originating dealer if the breakdown occurs within so many miles of the originating point.
Exactly. But a lot of times, just because they see the name, right, it's not about the tie back, right? It's just they automatically assume I got to go back to the selling dealer. And that's phenomenal for the selling dealer. Mm-hmm. Because when you are doing your own work, right, you know exactly what needs to be done. You're not going to go crazy and overcharge for labor and overcharge for parts, right? Because you're managing your own business, your own portfolio. So I'm a big fan of white labeling products as well. And it's also good for marketing, right? I bought a car.
Why is that?
Well, because, if you go to a dealership, right, and you bought the car from XYZ Ford, but your VSC has some unknown acronym on it, right? Wouldn't it be better for it to say XYZ vehicle service contract?
It matches up with your dealer's logo and
exactly. So in that sense, it's a good idea to white label these products. And I don't think you can white label products unless you reinsure. So that's something to think about, especially, for auto groups, because you can have multiple rooftops, right? And as long as the name is the same, right? Let's say, Advantage Auto Group, right? They can go to any Advantage Auto Group service facility to service their car.
Makes sense to me. Absolutely.
Right.
So reinsurance is a service you offer. You will set that up. You'll set up where it's tax advantageous to the dealer.
Right. So again, listen, I am not going to pretend that I do all the work, right? I'm lucky enough to partner, with one of the most reputable companies on the market. It's IA, American Warranty Group, and they do a lot of work in the background for me. They help form a reinsurance company in Turks and Caicos. They do all the tax returns for the dealer on an annual basis. They also help me with the actual FNI products and training. They have 8,100 employees. They have $210 billion in assets.
So they could probably cover the repairs.
So they can cover the repairs, but most importantly, they own their own insurance company that is capable of writing in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. So we can cover, with their help, the entire country, right? And have a trainer go to the dealership and train the F&I managers either in person or through Zoom, go over the products, go over the word tracks, go over the actual F&I product presentation.
That's why I would do business with you if I were a dealer today. I tell you, I see your hands on. I see your training in dealership. I see the services you're offering, and you get a big bench. I mean, you got a lot of people in the background.
Exactly. And again, I'm not going to pretend that I can do it all. Laws of physics apply to me as well as to anybody else. So I can only be in one place at one time. But again, I'm lucky enough to work with these guys that have boots on the ground throughout the country. They have training facilities spread out throughout the country. Just to give you an example, they have an office in Oklahoma City, Dublin, Ohio, Portland, Oregon, Las Vegas, New Haven, Connecticut, St. Louis, Missouri, Dallas, Texas. So whether you want to have the trainer come in to the dealership, that's one option. And another option is to actually send your people to the F&I school, which I find much more effective, right? Because there are no longer any disruptions of day-to-day operations. And these guys can go there. It's a 5-day school. It's an immersion. And they come back like sharpshooters. So that's a very important aspect, because you see, listen, again, I'm not the only person who does F&I products or F&I reinsurance, but you have to be able to back it up with other things, because reinsurance on its own doesn't do anything unless you have capable finance producers.
So right? You're handling the whole thing. You're training staff. You're setting up the logistics of the reinsurance. You've got a major insurance insurer backing everything you do, and
exactly. And also, a lot of dealers need to understand this, right? That not all reinsurance setups are created equal. They're really not, right? And I'll give you an example. In a standard reinsurance setup, right, a dealer does not have access to unearned premium. Really doesn't. Or if he does get access, he has to put up a letter of credit, right? And the distributions are taxed, right? So the way we do reinsurance is completely different, because we understand that dealers need to have access to cash, right? Because
this is a conversation dealers need to tune into this broadcast. This is aimed at the top levels.
Exactly. Because, Jim, think of it this way. You are setting up a reinsurance company to build wealth, right? That's the idea. But what does this wealth do for you if you can't access it, right? It's almost like a savings. It's almost like a 401k, right? That you can only access when you turn 59 and a half.
Exactly.
Right? So we don't do it this way. We don't want you to wait till you're 59 and a half, right? We understand that dealers need cash for a variety of reasons. I'll give you a few. Sometimes they're difficult times. 2008 was a perfect example of a difficult time. I think when the pendulum swings the other way, now there will be some difficult times for a lot of dealers.
We are in for a hard crash. I keep saying that. The manufacturers haven't stopped building cars. They just stopped building cars with chips in them. And they've got them in storage lots all over the country. As soon as the chips are available, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of units dumped on the market. Every manufacturer, hundreds of thousands of vehicles. The competitiveness is going to be incredible. And the people that just bought a car for $10,000 over sticker are going to be so upside down with that 84-month contract. It's incredible.
They're going to be last-time buyers.
Last-time buyers. So we basically have a crisis that we're sitting right on the edge of.
That's right.
I'm telling dealers right now, lease cars. Don't do retail. Finite terms on the contracts.
Right. But unfortunately, not everybody's going to listen to this advice, and they're gonna continue selling cars for $10,000, $12,000, $20,000.
84 months. At 84 months.
Well, we can even push it to 96 now.
Yeah, where?
Right.
96 months.
That's right. Just an 8-year loan, no big deal.
Just 8 years. I mean, that's not a car sale. That's a wedding.
That's right. That's right.
Gosh.
So that brings me to my point that when we are experiencing difficult times, dealers need access to cash. And in a traditional reinsurance setup, it's not that easy to get access to that cash, right? Sometimes you want this cash, not because you have difficult times, but because you want to invest back into the dealership, maybe renovate it. Maybe the factory came down on you and said that you need to bring your dealership up to an image standard, right? And that can be millions, right? Or maybe
I've seen it so many times.
Exactly. Or maybe you want to buy another store, especially, I think, when the pendulum swings again, right? And dealers are in for hard landing. Not everybody's going to make it. And
there will be a lot of property for sale.
There'll be a lot of fire sales, right? And you want to be prepared, and you want to have cash in hand, right? So the way we do reinsurance is a little different, right? So basically, we call it flexible investment program. And that means that we calculate present value of future claims. We calculate it today. So if we know that it's going to be a 40% loss ratio, we're going to give access to the unearned premium to the dealer now. And the dealer can take it as a loan and pay himself back down the road with interest himself.
I see it.
So to me, this is the differentiator that makes a difference, right? It's not a fancy iPad, or some, fancy coverage. It's your ability as a dealer principal to get access to this cash when it's needed. And again, this is unearned premium. So
anyway, I'm talking to Max Zanan. If you just tuned in, we're talking about reinsurance. This guy is a renaissance man of the dealership disruption era. I mean, this guy has got his pulse. He's got the thumb right on the pulse. He got his thumb right on the pulse of the business. This guy, regardless, he's a lot smarter than he looks. I'm going to tell you that right now. A lot smarter than he looks. I mean, I would listen to this man's advice if I owned a dealership today, because his advice is valid and it's timely. So anyway, besides reinsurance, you're definitely setting up product sales. If a dealer doesn't reinsure with you, are you still setting them up?
Sure, because certain things you don't want to reinsure, like we talked about gap, right? You still want to sell it, you just don't want to reinsure.
Oh no. Right? They're selling cars for $10,000 over MSRP, and there are going to be 100,000 cars just like it for $30,000 less than you paid 6 months ago. And you got an 84-month contract. You are going to be upside down in the bucket. You're going to have negative equity of 20, 30,000 if you bought a car today. And yeah,
so my advice to dealers is actually, whoever they do reinsurance with, they really need to get on the phone with these people and find out if gap is being reinsured. Because if it is being reinsured, that's not good.
You got bad exposure there.
You need to stop this yesterday.
Does your building have a ledge?
Right. So I would definitely find out to be certain, because
dealers, everybody heard that. If you are reinsuring gap right now, you have a ton of exposure, and you need to really investigate, what your exposure is and basically how to get out of it.
Right. Sell it, but don't reinsure it. That's the easiest way to do it. Right. And also, at the end of the day, I see a lot of dealers make this mistake, right? They go for the cheapest product. Whatever the product is, whether it's VSC, gap, tire, and wheel, right? And nobody wants to look in the mirror, right, and understand that you get what you pay for, right? There are no miracles, right? There has to be a certain price, and if you're getting it below that price, there's something that's not going to play out in your favor. So think of it long term. Don't obsess over the price, and don't say, well, this guy is $2 cheaper, right? That's, not going to be beneficial in the long term.
No. So anyway, what do you think is going to happen in the industry the next 6 months? Besides the hard crash. First of all, when is the crash coming? I have a figure in a sealed envelope. What do you say?
So listen, I don't have a crystal ball, and it seems like maybe the next 6 months are still going to be extremely profitable for car dealers.
Yeah.
But 2022, middle of the year?
2022, I think we're going to go into the summer. We'll get through the first quarter pretty much like we are now.
Right, I agree. I
think the second quarter, I think that the parts and the chips are going to be more available. And people hear chip shortage, they really don't understand what that is. Everything in a car has a chip. Your key fob has a chip.
That's right.
Your cell phone has chips. I mean, we're suffering. Guess what? So is iPhone.
That's right.
I mean, everybody is suffering for the chip shortage, because the chip shortage is across all businesses that sell technology, not just the car business. So when it loosens up, when it comes back, it's going to be all at once. It's not going to be gradually cars coming into the market. No, it's going to be like, okay, here's 100,000 units right now.
But it's also a double whammy, Jim, because they're going to flood the dealers with new car inventory, which will immediately depreciate used car inventory overnight.
Everything you have on the ground's underwater.
Correct. So let's say, you have 200 used cars on the ground. Conservatively, they're going to lose 5,000 overnight each. So you're going to wake up being $1 million upside down just on your used car lot. Right. And then the banks will tighten up, right? Because it's like a perfect storm.
The banks are already tightening up. They see it coming. Wells Fargo, I talk to my dealers every day. Wells Fargo has turned the faucet not off, but it's very, very much trickling. Their approvals are not the quality we were getting.
Right. Or the LTV is not there, right? So the bank is going to say, well, we're going to give you 110% LTV, right? You're already $5,000-$6,000 upside down in your used car. 110% LTV without a $5,000-$6,000 down payment gets you nowhere.
I just wrote an article in Digital Dealer Magazine that'll be published in the next week or two. And it's on this very subject. I mean, it's at great length describing what we're going to go through, where we came from. And Max, you and I have talked about this many, many times. The crash is coming, and people don't realize what the crash is going to be.
There's another unfortunate part to it. A lot of people started in car business during this last, let's say, 18 months. And all they know is that
they think it's always like this.
Right. They're like, I'm just going to say $10,000 over sticker, and the customer is going to say yes. Yeah. These guys and gals are in for a surprise.
I've been in a business 47 years. I've seen cycle after cycle. I have seen ups and downs. I've seen paradigm shifts. we are in a major paradigm shift right now. Everything that used to be true is no longer true.
Correct. Correct. So you know how difficult it is to find salespeople? I think what's going to happen is that once these new salespeople realize there's not a lot of money in it when you actually have to, sell the car for invoice. You get a,
invoice triple net. I mean, that was
right.
just a year ago. That was just a year ago, folks. And the managers forgot how it was.
Right. So
it's going to be that way again.
Right. And I think these people will quit, right? Because they're like, I can't do this. This is not as easy as I thought. And another problem is that, unfortunately, managers let it get to their head, right? They really think it's them. They really don't think it's the market condition.
Oh, they're giving each other trophies. I have seen trophy for a record month. A monkey with a note in his mouth would have had a record month.
So if you go on LinkedIn, right, on the first of each month, right, you will see these self-congratulatory messages that they post there. Right?
All over LinkedIn. All over LinkedIn.
Record-breaking this, record-breaking that. I want to see them in a year. When will they be posting, we just had a record-breaking loss.
Record-breaking loss. Here's John with his trophy.
Right.
Yeah. I've seen they're giving each other trophies, pat on the back. They're awarding vacations to these people as a sales contest. I mean, I'm seeing all this. My God, Obama said this, and I wasn't always in agreement with Obama. He said one thing: "You didn't do it."
Right.
Yeah.
And also, you see, these gross profits and net profits that they're experiencing, they really do have this corrupting side effect where there's basically no training going on, right? There's less training happening now than pre-COVID.
I have a training.
Themselves.
I have a training platform with free FNI school, free sales managers. I've got, and you know what? I watch the stats. Some dealers are all over there. There's the website, free management training, free sales training. Okay. All you have to do is invest your time, watch the videos. The word tracks are there. The customer processors are there. The closes are there. Guess what? I'm watching the people, the stats on each individual dealership that visits us. Some of them are going crazy. All their people in all departments are watching the videos. Other dealerships, not so much. They're watching 10% of the video, clicking off. Just
right.
We got something in the dealerships today, Max. We got the know-it-all syndrome.
Oh yeah,
they know it all. I mean, excuse me. Slim Pickens said it in a movie one time. That Slim Pickens, a cowboy actor, he looked at Marlon Brando and said, "You're going to die. We're going to hang you in the morning." And Marlon Brando said, "You don't know what you don't know."
Right.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. And you could sit on a mountain with your legs crossed and meditate on that with the Swami. You don't know what you don't know. You could spend hours contemplating what that means.
I'll give you an example, Jim. I was at a dealership, right? And, they were patting each other on the back, great month, best month, this, that. So I said, listen, let's do an experiment, right? Let's do an experiment. I said, let me pick out any salesperson on the floor, right? And let's just ask the salesperson to do a walk around on the car of his choice, not my choice.
Her choice, yeah.
Yeah. It was such a failure. I mean, it was embarrassing, right? But, we're having the best month ever, right? Because at this point, it doesn't matter what the horsepower is or how big the trunk space, right? All it matters is that you have the car and you are $10,000 over sticker as opposed to the other guy who's $11,000 over sticker, right? That's the sales process now.
It's absolutely incredible, Max. I'm watching all this and going, where's it going? Yeah, they aren't trained. They don't know. They don't know the most simple process. They're looking for videos to sell cars. FNI department, they're looking for videos to sell service contracts. Videos. They think technology is going to sell cars. Stone Eagle, and by the way, I'm a real advocate of some of the things Stone Eagle is doing. Stone Eagle ran an ad recently. Robots don't sell FNI. Robots don't sell finance. And I've always taught personalities sell. Personalities, persuasion, and finesse.
Well, I think there's one more step there, and not a lot, but most dealers are missing it, right? For some reason, right, they treat F&I as a secret. So if you go on any dealer's website, right, and you click on the finance tab, there'll be probably a finance application there or a lease versus retail calculator, right? But there'll be zero information about F&I products that they sell.
Really?
Yeah, and you can do this as an experiment. You can go to choose a dealership's website of your choice, right? You choose, you go, and you see there's no information about F&I products. So I think if we just listen, you can go on a dealer's website and research a car. You can probably buy parts on a dealer's website. But one thing you cannot do is to learn anything about F&I products that they offer. I'm not even saying put a price on the product. At least tell people what's available. So while they're doing research at home, they can at least get an idea. So we don't have to put them in a box, right? And it's like an ambush. Oh, by the way, did you know that this is going to happen to your car? This is going to happen to your car. You need this, this, and that, right? Let them get ready instead of going and reading some stupid articles on yahoo.com about how to say no to a finance manager. Let them do the research about F&I products on their own, on your own website. And
I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's amazing to me, because for years, when I first got into F&I, they said you are the business manager. And I was thinking, the business manager? What a wimpy ass title that is. I'm the business manager? That's a person in the back office in the accounting department of the dealership. That's a person in the back office with a bad disposition. I am not the business manager. I'm not the finance guy. That sounds like a loan shark. I am the financial manager, the financial director. I want a power title with respect built into it. Because the theory was when Pat Ryan first invented F&I back in the 70s, I was there. And it was amazing because they told you that you're going to tell them you're the business manager. And the customer is going to believe you're just going to process their legal paperwork. So you're just going to process their paperwork, but you're actually laying in the weeds and you're going to pounce on them and sell them a bunch of shit.
Right, we're just going to take care of your title and registration.
This is the business manager. He'll take care of your title, registration, and your paperwork. And then so they call you a business manager. So the customer, folks, let me tell you something. You have an F&I teaching business manager, fire that company. Right. You're not the business manager. Customer, I know this is going to be really a hard thing for you to comprehend, folks, but try to grasp this concept. They know we sell shit.
Right.
There's no surprise when you jump up and sell them a service contracting gap and key fob replacement, windshield replacement, environment. They know you sell shit. You're not tricking anybody.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying. Put this information, make it available, make it easier for them to research and understand, right? That maybe they actually need it. So it's not a fight.
Absolutely, Max. We have been talking for an hour, and you and I could, since we're genuinely friends,
right,
we can talk for hours on these subjects. These are subjects that this broadcast today was at the top level. This was aimed at general managers, general sales managers, dealer principals. This was aimed at F&I directors of departments. This broadcast, we're not going to get a ton of viewers like some of my broadcasts get 20,000 viewers. No, that's not going to happen because we're only aimed at the top people in the dealership. But if you stumbled across this broadcast, you need to get this broadcast in front of the top managers in the dealership, the decision makers, because this is great information that Max and I put out today. Max, what can you say before we wrap this thing up? We've been on an hour. What you got?
I mean, listen, I'm going to summarize it this way. It's only money, right? So, right, if you're in it to win it, right?
Only money? Okay.
You know, it's only money. So if you open the dealership for one reason and one reason only, to make money, right? You need to take FNI and reinsurance seriously. And again, listen, it doesn't mean that you have to come to me. You know, maybe you have somebody that you can work with, but you have to actually do it. Stop procrastinating. Stop justifying why you're doing business with the factory, right? Because trust me, you know, you are better off in a reinsurance setup than a factory setup, right? Factory, I'm sorry to say that, is not your best friend.
No. And they don't know how to sell cars.
Right.
No. Anyway, Max, it's been a pleasure. I'll have this broadcast all over social media. Have a great day, my friend.
Jim, thank you so much.
Hang around.